Assalamu alaikum students. Welcome to our third online session for the topic memories for the course Digital Logic Design. My name is Ali Roman and this session is specifically designed for the students of BCS 3 and BCS 3D. So to start with, first of all, let us see the contents which we will be covering in today's session. First of all, we will be having the introduction and then what we have learned in the previous session we will discuss in detail. Then we will be discussing the types of memories specifically for random access memories, and then we will be discussing the static RAM and the dynamic RAM, and we will differentiate between these two RAMs, and we will see what are the benefits of using static or dynamic RAM and what are the trade-offs in order to select the specific memory module. Well, as far as the reference readings and acknowledgements are concerned, we are at chapter number 7 of the book Digital Design with Introduction to Verilog HDL. So to start with, let us first have the review what we have studied in our previous session. In our previous session, basically we have discussed about how the orientation of memory is. We have discussed the orientation of memory in detail and how the data is stored in memory and how we're gonna perform the read and write operations. We have discussed that stuff in detail. For example, in order to perform any read or write operation, the first step was to provide the address, and we've discussed the specific example regarding the computer systems, that how the processor, that is the main core device that is responsible to process all the information and control all the operations, how processor will going to communicate with the memory and how memory will communicate with processor, and we've discussed that in detail. That first of all, the first step is to provide the address that is required to access the specific location in the memory. Uh, so the next step is uh, to enable the memory, and also to specify the operation. Either we want to perform the read operation or we want to perform the write operation. What we have discussed in a previous session, that the read and write operations, the control lines, so that can be dedicated or can have a single line, and the value of that single line depicts the read or write operation. And if the write operation is performed, basically the data from the processor is being written to the memory, is being carried from the data bus and is transported to the memory, and is stored at a location, the address which has been provided by the address lines. And as far as the read operation is concerned, data is moving from memory from that specific address towards the processor. The data is placed at the data bus from that specific location whom address is provided by the processor, and the data is basically moved towards the processor for further processing. Then we have discussed the timing diagrams here, that how we're going to represent those operations and how many clock cycles are required to perform a read or write operation. Specifically for the example of a processor that has been operated at the 1 megahertz clock cycle, that stuff we have discussed in detail. So to start with memories, basically this session focuses on the RAM, that is basically the random access memory, in which each location can be accessed randomly depending upon the address which we have provided. So basically, as far as the random access memory is concerned, the word location may be thought of as being separated in space, which each word occupying one particular location. So the data word, basically that can occupy one particular location in the memory, and that are being separated in space. That is the basic definition of the random access memory and the orientation of data that has been stored in the memory or that has been held in the memory. Whereas in the sequential access memory, that is also the type of the memory, the information stored in some medium, the medium can be a disk, a medium can be a tape, is not immediately accessible but is available only on certain intervals of time. For example, the magnetic disk or the tape disk is such a type of example of the sequential access memories. Whereas our random access memory RAMs that are being used in computer systems are basically uh, are the random access memories that can be static, that can be dynamic, depending upon the orientation of the memory and the physical structure of the memory. While in random access memory, the access time basically the time required to access a particular location in a memory is always the same regardless of the particular location of the word. So whatsoever the access time of any word location is, that is basically the same, that cannot vary. So that is the time required for the processor to access any location in a memory, that is known to be the access time. When the processor has generated the request for some specific data, and what time the data has been after what time the data is available to the processor, and how much time the processor has spent in order to access that particular location, that is basically your access time. So in random access memories, the access time is always the same, regardless of which word or which location we are accessing. Whereas in sequential access memory, that is a major difference between random access memory and the sequential access memory, is that in a sequential access memory, the time it takes to access a word depends on the position of the word with respect to the reading head position. So if the location is near to the head position, the access time can vary, and if the location is far from the head position, then definitely we'll have to consume more time in order to access that particular location. So in a sequential access memory, the time it takes to access a word depends on the position of the word with respect to reading head position. Therefore, the access time is variable. So this is the major difference between the random access memory and the sequential access memory, that we have a fixed access time for random access memory, whereas we've got the variable access time for the sequential access memory, that is due to the head position and the location or the locality of that particular word with respect to the head position, which is used to read that particular location. Now let us go to the two specific types of random access memory, that is the static RAM and the dynamic RAM. We're gonna see the features what are available for the static RAM and what are the features for the dynamic RAM. Then we will be having a comparison of both of the architectures, that and application of both of the structures, where we are using static RAM and where we are using the dynamic RAM. As far as we'll also going to have the cost comparison or the element and the performance comparison with respect to the access time and the cycle times, and we're going to see how which are the applications or in which scenarios we prefer the static RAM and in which scenarios we will be preferring the dynamic RAM. So as far as the static RAM is concerned, basically static RAM consists the major module or the component of the building block, we can say, of the static RAM are the latches. It is a transistor-based structure that is used to implement the internal latches that are responsible to store the binary information. So that are the major building blocks for the static RAM. Since we have implemented a static RAM by using transistors, or we can say latches, uh, they are easier to use and have shorter read and write cycles. The read cycle is a cycle which is required to read any particular location in a memory with respect to processor, and the write cycle is a cycle that is responsible to transfer the data from the memory towards the processor. So it has the shorter read and write cycle, since these memory elements are faster as far as the implementations are concerned. These are implemented on a transistor level. So they are much faster as compared to the other architectures, and their access times are shorter, and we can say that these memories are faster as compared to the dynamic RAM, and we will going to compare those RAMs when we will be discussing the dynamic RAM. The stored information remains valid as long as the power is supplied to the unit. So the information that is being stored in any particular cell of the static RAM is valid unless and until we have removed the power. So these sorts of memories, basically with respect to the storage of data, can be categorized into two categories. So either the memory module is a volatile memory module, or it's non-volatile. Those memory modules that loses their data when we remove the power supply, or when we remove the power, that are the volatile memories, and those memory modules that retain their data whenever the power supply is removed, that are non-volatile memory. So basically the RAM, either it's static RAM or a dynamic RAM, that are the volatile memory, because they tend to lose data when we remove the power. So the data is only valid for that time interval, for that period for which we have applied the power supply. So in this particular RAM, the stored information remain valid as long as power is applied to the unit. And as far as the density is concerned, basically how much information we can store in that particular memory module, basically these are the low density and low capacity modules with high cost element, but with have high speed and high power consumption. How we can say that they have low capacity? Because in order to store a particular single bit, we have to use a latch, or we have to use a circuit of multiple transistors. So these transistors do occupy a space at the chip area, the implementation area. So due to that, we can have all the static RAMs. We can have the sizes in megabytes till now. I think so. Maybe in gigabytes. Some of the memories are in gigabyte. But as far as the dynamic RAMs are concerned, they are going in gigabytes. Uh, so there is a huge difference between the capacity and uh, of both static RAM and dynamic RAM. So uh, because these are the memory elements that do consume more chip area, more implementation area. So the cost is directly associated with that implementation area. So more the area is, higher the cost is. But the major advantage of these sorts of memory is they are of high speed, and another disadvantage their high power consumption. So static RAMs basically are the latches in order to store the binary information. They are easier to use and have shorter read and write cycles. Their storage information remains valid as long as we have applied the power source. And they are low density because of their implementation structure. Their density is low. They have low capacity, and but they have high cost element. So in all those scenarios or application in which the speed is important or the performance is important, we prefer static RAM, and where capacity is important, uh, the density is important, we will prefer dynamic RAM. So the cache memory, or the cache memory, whatever you pronounce that, is basically a static RAM. So that is a level that is near to the processor. So if processor want to access some data from the cache memory or from the RAM, it will consume lesser time to access some data that is available in cache as far as the data available from the RAM, because we are using the hierarchical memory structure in the computer system. So the level that are more closer to the processor, the data access is more fast and reliable, and as we are away from the processor, all those level the processor time is wasted as compared to the levels that are near to the processor. Now coming to the dynamic RAM, basically the dynamic RAM basically is a type of memory that stores the binary information in form of electric charges of the capacitor. So capacitors are the basic building modules of a dynamic RAM. In order to store any information in a capacitor, we have to charge that capacitor on that particular location. So if the capacitor is charged, the 1 is stored, and if the capacitor is discharged, the 0 is stored. So the capacitors basically that are provided inside the chip by the MOS transistors. So we'll use the concept of the MOS transistors, and the capacitors are implemented within a chip. So this is the major difference between a static RAM and the dynamic RAM. That in the static RAM we are using latches in order to store binary information, whereas in dynamic RAM, we are using capacitors that are implemented by the MOS transistors. So the difference, or we can say that the drawback here for the dynamic RAM is the capacitors tend to discharge with the time and are periodically recharged. So we must have a refresh circuit in order to retain the data. Whereas far as the static RAM is concerned, there is no need for the refresh circuit in order to refresh the data or in order to retain the data. So what is the major difference between the dynamic RAM and the static RAM is the dynamic RAM offers reduced power consumption and larger storage capacity in a single memory chip. Our random access memory, or the RAM slot, which we are using in a computer system in order to store our task or in order to process our processes that are being loaded into the RAM, that is basically the dynamic RAM. Here we are targeting the capacity here, and we are compromising on the speed here. So in all those scenarios in which the capacity is important, so that maximum number of processes can be accommodated inside that chip, we'll prefer the dynamic RAM there, and it has a reduced power consumption and larger storage capacity. Whereas uh, with high capacity, low cost, low speed, and low power consumption, basically we are preferring the dynamic RAM. So in all those scenarios in which we require high density, high capacity, the cost element is minimal, the low speed, low power consumption, in that particular scenario, we are preferring the dynamic RAM. So we have a mixture of memory modules that are available in computer systems and that have their applications there. We'll prefer RAM there, the random access, the dynamic RAM there as a main primary memory source, and due to the cost element and due to the density element. But with lower speed, we are compromising on a speed. Uh, but in all those scenarios in which the speed is important, we are using those sorts of memory that are faster as compared to the dynamic RAM, and we'll prefer the static RAM in that particular scenario. So the types of memory, as far as we have discussed previously, that depending upon the how the memory modules will retain their data or will gonna lose their data, that is dependent upon their application and their usage. All those memory modules that tend to lose the stored information when the power is turned off, that are known to be the volatile memories. The RAM is basically a volatile memory. So both static and dynamic RAM of this category, since the binary cell need external power to maintain the stored information, are basically considered to be the volatile memory. As far as the non-volatile memories are concerned, they tend to retain their data if we even remove the supply source, that are the non-volatile memories. So the non-volatile memories are such as the magnetic disk, the ROM, that retains to store information after the removal of power. So in this particular session, basically we have got the general introduction of the classification of memories with respect to the data storage and how they are going to retain the data. We can classify our memories into two distinct categories. Either the memory module is a volatile memory module or the memory module is a non-volatile memory module. All those memory modules that tend to lose their data when we remove the power supply are the volatile memory modules, such as our random access memory, regardless of its static or dynamic. And all those memory modules that tend to retain their data when we remove the power supply or when we remove the power to the system, that are non-volatile. And the examples of such memory modules are magnetic disk, the ROM, that is basically the read-only memory that retains its information uh, if we even remove the power source from the system. So in today's class, this was the basic introduction of the memories and the types of memories, and we have discussed the two distinct types of random access memory, that is a static and dynamic. We have seen their implementation structure or architecture, that the static RAMs are implemented with the help of latches that are basically primarily implemented with the help of transistors on a chip. And as far as the dynamic RAMs are concerned, the storage component is capacitor that is used to store the information. So this is the primary difference between the static RAM and the dynamic RAM. Then we've seen the trade-offs in which scenario we'll prefer the static RAM and in which scenario we'll prefer the dynamic RAM. Where we have to target the capacity or the density, the chip density, while compromising on the speed, we'll prefer dynamic RAMs. And if we have to target the performance with respect to better access and cycle times, then we'll prefer static RAM here. So in our computer system, both of the memory modules are there. So according to that, the cost element of the system is determined. If we have more the static RAM components in our computer system, the cost element of that particular computer system is more as compared to those systems that has the lesser static RAM module. So this is the primary difference. So if we remember that the Intel once launched the processors or launched the systems in order to target the market, they launched two versions. If you're discussing about the Pentium series, there either the version is the original series or the Celeron series. So the difference between those two versions is basically the impact of the cost there. So the original version has a higher cost as compared to the Celeron version. That was because they were using the more static RAM or can have a more level of cache memory there in order to improve performance, whereas the dynamic RAM, whereas the Celeron versions, uh, the cost element was reduced because of the lesser the cache memory or lower density cache memory that is being utilized here. So we are compromising on basically the speed in the Celeron, but we are targeting the market in such a way that more number of consumers can buy that product. Well, student, this was all for today's session. Uh, we have discussed the content in a lighter note, and the content of our today's discussion is also not so broad. So we have discussed the major difference between the static RAM and the dynamic RAMs, and then we'll see the classification of memory with respect to the attainment of the data. Either it's volatile if it loses its content, and or we can say that it's non-volatile if it retains its content when the power supply is removed.